Right, we are live. Welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. This is your host, Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. So welcome to my channel. Appreciate all of you. Make sure you hit the like button, do all the things, share the video, do what you're going to do. But I appreciate you all for being here. This is a special stream. I normally don't stream on Fridays because it's my day off, but it's Valentine's Day. And so I'm kind of wanting to do something to relax and have fun and not be, by myself on Valentine's Day. So maybe it's a coping mechanism. Who knows? Let's see. Who do we have here tonight? Some of you were early and came in later. So let's see. Fred's here. Good to see you, Fred. How's Australia doing? They doing all right these days? Don't hear much about it in the news, so I'm assuming they're okay. Let's see. Rimmer's here. And we have Martin. And I Killed Earl is here. There you go. Let's see. I'm trying to enter the usual suspects. Yeah, it's the usual mob. It's okay. I mean, it's it's a special stream. Yeah, but there's that. Yeah, I'm trying to interpret the emojis here. I'm sensing a dislike for Valentine's Day that's simply similar to mine, but yeah. But, yeah, the Untouchables. Okay. Allegedly. Yes. All right. Allegedly. All right. So the only thing I have on the docket on the agenda is I found a little video about who was Saint Valentine. And I'm always interested in the origin stories of holidays. And so Saint Valentine's is the origin story for this holiday. But he's, from my own personal studies about him, he's kind of sus. So, I don't think we can say that anymore. I think I have a Dutch fan that comes around all the time too. So he's been around a couple of times. So John. So, but we'll see. But this video is by a channel called What Would You Say? And I'm trying to figure them out at present because I look through their video log and there's a lot of topics that I would consider very Christian, very whatever. And I'm trying to figure out what brand of Christianity they're coming from. But they kind of brand their channel as, how to give answers to questions that people ask during conversations. So, yeah, it's it's true everywhere. So it's a worldwide thing, I guess. So, but I'm gonna see if our this channel is becoming a potential place for me to do some short reaction videos too, because their videos are like 5 minutes long. They're animated, so that's always fun. The animation isn't half bad, I guess, but we'll see what happens with this one. But this person is giving us the answer. Okay, where did the holiday of Valentine's Day come from? And so let's add them quickly to the stage, and gonna see what they have to say about Valentine's Day.
You're in a conversation and someone asks, "Where did Valentine's Day come from?" What would you say?
Okay, there they are. There's the question. And this is the name of the channel, by the way. What would you say? And I'm still, yeah, it's a possible history lesson. We're going to get into that because I have watched this video through once and I had some objections. So, Maybe, maybe all of us. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a date this evening, so I feel your pain. I killed Earl, so there's that. But but yeah, well, it's supposedly a history lesson, but we'll see. Yes, something about a Catholic saint is what we're going to be dealing with. So here we go. Let's see what they have to say with the initial remarks.
Every 14th of February, we celebrate Valentine's Day by exchanging cards, going out for candlelit dinners, and sharing special moments. Though the holiday is now primarily focused on romantic love, it originated as a feast day for a Christian saint. Some details about the life of Saint Valentine are uncertain. The tricky part for historians is that early Christian sources mention 3 different Valentines, all of whom died on February 14th. But it's likely that the 2 main Valentines were actually a single person. Although there are varying accounts of his life, there is consensus regarding a basic outline.
Okay. I have to stop there. I have to stop there. Hello, Coyote. Good to see you. I want everybody to remember this part because when I studied St. Valentine, this was the primary problem I had with proving anything historical about the guy. Is there are like 3 different accounts of St. Valentine. One of them is definitely dismissed. Okay, so there's that. But also the other 2, they think are kind of sort of the same guy, and it's 2 different things. But I have no idea. There's really, I want people to remember this because this video is going to say stuff later. Yes, happy Florist Day, everybody. Yeah, this is probably true. I love I killed Earl, but it is true. So, but yes, be innocent. Everybody be innocent today. Oh dear, where's chat going? Where do you always think it goes? Yeah, so good to see you. But yes, getting back to St. Valentine. St. Valentine, the accounts of him are questionable. We'll put it that way. Yeah, good to see you, Evan. Yeah, the chat is already derailed as it always has. So there's that. It tends to be a feature rather than a bug. Yeah. So that's the problem with St. Valentine. Okay. Is that there's a lot of things that are questionable about him, and the accounts of him are questionable. And there's a reason why he was removed as a feast day from the Catholic Church, because even the Catholic Church couldn't maintain some of the stuff that they said about him. So there's that. So, but she's just pointed out the main problem. Let's see if she even bothers to remember this problem as she talks. So she's about to tell us the 3 things that we know for sure about St. Valentine.
So the next time someone asks you who St. Valentine was, here are 3 things to remember. Number 1, Valentine prayed for God to heal the blind daughter of a Roman judge, and God did. Valentine lived.
All right, how's everybody doing so far? Talk about telling us what the problems with the historicity of St. Valentine and then completely ignoring them. Oh God. Yeah, that's kind of my problem with it, Martin. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, yeah, the stories talk about it, and supposedly there's testimony of it, but it's all testimonial evidence. So there's that. Yes, Chaos, welcome to chat on a Valentine's Day. I am fairly certain that some of these people might be inebriated, Evan, so be careful. Yeah, exactly. The real problem that I have with this channel is they kind of are naively saying that Christianity, they talk about Christianity a lot and makes me suspicious about them at present, but I'm going to watch some more of their videos. But they have some good ones to react to, like, genocide and slavery. And there's a couple on abortion. And the nice thing about them is they're like 5 minute videos and well done, artistically speaking, but better than I could do. But yeah, oh yeah, oh, I know. These saints, as much as I bag on Jesus and the unhistorical development of the Gospels, these saints have a lot of the same problems. Okay, like there's these testimonies and attestations and all this other crap. But once again, we're dealing with testimonial evidence that's not corroborated. It's not, there's just nothing there. So you hope to enjoy the inebriation soon. Okay, good. Yeah, I kind of suspected. I don't know. As soon as I get done with this stream, I might be making a trip. I don't drink very often, but I'll be making a trip this evening because, yeah, everybody's perfectly sober, obviously. But yeah, so apparently, this saint healed this governor's daughter of blindness. So let's see if there's any evidence offered in favor of this.
Lived as a Christian priest in Italy in the mid-200s AD during the decline of the Roman Empire. As pagans, it was common for the Romans to blame misfortunes on Christians who had failed to give the pagan gods their due. Valentine refused to pray to the pagan gods and was put under house arrest by a judge named Asterius. While under arrest, Valentine began having conversations with Asterius about who Jesus was. Asterius' daughter was blind, and so he challenged Valentine, saying that if Jesus could give his daughter her sight again, he would believe. Valentine prayed, and Asterius' daughter was healed. When he saw this miracle, Asterius repented and was baptized along with every member of his household. He also released Valentine and all the other Christians he had imprisoned.
Now, I have to stop there. We have to add the word allegedly. Allegedly. The content creator has already forgotten what they said at the beginning of the thing, that Valentine's historical documentation is questionable. It's bad. Okay, so it really shows the signs of a legendary character that was wrote about later. And so, well, and this is my question. Okay, I know, medically speaking, that there are a lot of different ways that a person can be considered blind, and blind is such such a thing that there's a lot of different causes, and some of those causes, there are, shall we say, can go away with time. Also, sometimes it's pretty obvious why a person's blind or things like that. So we don't have the type of blindness that this guy's daughter had. And the funny thing about this story is it reads very similarly to a lot of Jesus's miracles. Like, Jesus heals a blind person, and he also goes in front of a Roman governor. So this is why Valentine kind of has some questionable elements to him, because he seems like a legendary saint figure that has Christ-like qualities, and that makes me sus. So, yeah, if she was blind from birth, but I don't think the text actually says she was blind from birth, that she was blind for some other reason. There's also, I don't know if it's hysterical blindness, but some blindness can be psychological. So, yeah, I mean, is that she could see again, but only in the dark? Okay, all right. Oh, yeah, I guess. But yeah, it's like this is the miracle associated with Saint Valentine and how he became a saint. Because every saint has to have miracles associated with them, like God does stuff. And so So there's that aspect of it, of having to have that element of it. You had to be a bold proclaimer of Jesus. And back in the day, the early saints were also usually martyrs. Like they also had to be died for their faith. And Saint Valentine fits that bill. Yeah, they have to have three. And I think that's why Saint Valentine might have been removed, because there's only really one or two miracles attested to him. And so they changed the standard that you have to have three miracles because there's so many people that have one or two. So, so there's that. But yeah, this content creator is basically saying that this is an absolute fact. The problem is she forgot that her source material is questionable. So whether this is something that a lot of theists do with the Bible too, is like they'll say, oh yeah, it has a questionable origin, but it's absolutely attested that Jesus did this. I do that with the questionable witness series all the time. It's like, yeah, but the whole thing's questionable because of the main problem. So that clouds it. Yeah, she does. And yeah, as we all know, there's not much miraculous about that. uh, yeah, that's probably, I would say that that's true, that Mother Teresa became a saint in large part because, they wanted a saint. Yeah. It's what they want to believe. So there's that. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, she's, this miracle of Saint Valentine, we're dealing with decades after the fact. We're dealing with multiple accounts of Saint Valentine that vary uh, in such a way that they're contradictory. There's a lot of clouded origin story here. So this content creator treating this miracle as if it's a fact. Yeah, I want to see more data. I want to see better attestation. So, but yeah, that's where she's going. So,
Although reports are inconsistent about some parts of Valentine's life, there is complete consensus among the records that this miraculous healing happened.
not true. I really hate it when young people lie. Okay, but that's just not true. She's forgotten the whole tenor of the fact that the supposed historical records might not be historical at all. And so the video has already kind of gone down that direction of, you've already told me what the problem is with the accounts about St. Valentine, but then you want to ignore that when you make this observation that this is completely true. Yeah, come on. Okay. Yeah, it seems very mythical to me. Yeah. And I would call bullshit at this point. It's like, you just told us that there's problems with the account of St. Valentine and whether we can even know what stuff is true, but you want to completely ignore that when it comes to this miracle. So there's that. Hey, John. See, I told you people you couldn't make this a Dutch free zone because I have a fan. John's a good man. So, yeah, I get it. With young people, I can see indoctrination. With old people, you've had plenty of time to stew on this. So, yeah, she has an old lady who looks kind of gray. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, so there's that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. John is a fan. Okay, John is a fan. Be good, asshole. We don't ban people outright. This is a special stream too. I'm not even sure what level. I am fairly certain that several people in this stream are inebriated by their own admission. So he's undutchable. He's undutchable. Okay. Yeah, I'm a quarter Dutch myself. So my great grandparents on my mother's side were both Dutch immigrants. So And they had a crap ton of kids, like 12 of them. So, oh, non-Pennsylvanian Dutch. Yes, that's me. Yeah, the Dutch immigrants that came over on my boat are, so you're fully Kraut. I'm quarter Kraut. I'm Bavarian. I got that going for me. So I resonate with almost everybody in the chat room in some way, shape, or form. So there's that. Yeah, it's a big word. All right. Well, let's continue on with this. But she's just made the claim that this miracle is absolutely attested to, and I had to take exception to that. Obviously, not a historian. So there's that.
And Asterius converted because of it. Number 2. Valentine was arrested a second time because he evangelized pagans and helped Christians. After the healing of Asterius' daughter, Valentine continued evangelizing. According to some sources, he also began secretly marrying Christian couples and aiding persecuted Christians. Both actions were illegal in Rome at the time. Marrying Christian couples was especially dangerous because married men couldn't be drafted into the Roman army, which...
All right, I got to stop there. What do you mean they're the worst? Maybe that's the reason for my dark side, Michael. You know, that's the Sith in me as it comes from Bavaria. So there's that. Yeah, I kind of think so. So there's that. But I was not aware that this was a complete established historical fact that married men could not be drafted into the military of Rome. Given, I don't know, and so what she's saying is that Saint Valentine married these people, and this is probably where the connection to romance comes from, is this legendary idea that Saint Valentine married these young couples so the men could avoid military service out of love and all that jazz. But I'm not sure that it's an established fact that the Roman military required you to be single. I'm not sure that that's the case as far as drafted. So, yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so which Valentine is this? Is it the one of the one account or one of the other? And there's a third account of Valentine that people dismiss because it looks like a much later development, but still, I've never really been able to pin down whether the Romans required a young man, to be single before they could join the military or be drafted into it. Yeah. So, yeah. All of us are mongrels in a sense, I suppose. Thanks to the Vikings, anyway. So, but yeah, I'm listening to her and I'm like, I've studied the Roman military, and it was always a question as to whether it was required for them to be single men to be drafted or to enlist. And so I'm not sure that that's completely accurate. I would have to look that up, but I studied the Roman military for a while when I was younger because I loved military history and I loved Roman history as well. And I just never got the impression that how would you keep somebody for a 40-year term and not allow them to get married? How would you pull that off? Okay, there was going to be a lot of secret marriages, and so yeah, it's probably true. Okay, but yeah, there's so many different Saint Valentine stories, and that's part of the problem with him. So when this young lady makes this, that it's an absolute fact that he did this miracle, and it's an absolute fact that he was marrying people to keep them out of military service and all that jazz, I'm not sure that that's true. So, yeah, but it's like that's the problem because as you go up in rank in the military, did you get privileges like being married? Okay. I can't imagine something as organized as the Roman military was that they didn't have I mean, there's a whole bureaucracy that's pretty evident behind the Roman military that follows them wherever they go. They were a professional army. And so, and that was their secret to their success in a lot of ways. But I have never found this claim that Roman soldiers were not allowed to get married. That's an awful long time to wait for marriage. Okay. And I can't imagine that that would be a fair consideration for any man to say he can't have a family while he's serving. Um, and so the way to get out of it was to get married, and then you couldn't be drafted. I think the Roman military would say, yes, screw that. You can be married. You're getting drafted anyway. So, so there's that. Um, yeah, it was before that. Yeah, there's the problem with this account with St. Valentine is I do believe that they're later. So there's that. I don't know. I've never bought the notion that they couldn't get married because it really doesn't say. So, but hey, Dave, how you doing? Having a fun little live stream tonight where we're just talking about St. Valentine and discovering that he's more questionable than Jesus, and that's saying something. So, they were more organized. I guess I would push back on that a little bit, other than to say that they had their close calls. Eventually, I think they became the only organized military in Europe, and that's probably why they won so much because the rest of them were just like there. Maybe. I mean, Jesus at least has a shit ton of gospels written about him. Like, so there's 35 of them or something stupid. Where this guy only has like 3 tales written by him, so there's less stories. So, and historians, when they look at Saint Valentine, there's a reason why his saint day was pulled. Okay, the Catholic Church had a hard time defending this guy. Yeah, until it met a real army. I mean, if you look at the Romans, they conquer like tribes. They push back on tribalism. They don't really run into a problem until certain people that used to work for the Roman Empire decide to switch sides and start to organize. Like, Teutoburg Forest is largely the fact that somebody who had been part of the Roman military organized the Germans to fight back. So there's that. BS, as always, you have a way of putting things that is absolutely brilliant. Happy VD, y'all. The fact that you put VD together is just hilarious. Oh my gosh. I think, is it, other than, I don't know, a road system, common language, plumbing, aqueducts, what have they ever done for us? So there's that. Yeah, they all collapse, usually due to neglect. So I'm just waiting for mine to collapse. So, that's a good question. The video is going to get into that where it starts to change, and I think it's there was some sort of trend that happened in a city where St. Valentine's Day started to be looked at as a romantic holiday. Before that, it was just a feast day of a saint. So, well, yeah, Monty Python is awesome. See, come on, Fred. You should know. The channel's symbol is probably going to be a cute little bunny. So, yeah, it's just a flesh wound. See, there you go. See, there's too many Monty Python fans in this room. Well, there can never be too many Monty Python fans. What am I saying? So there's that. But yeah, so I just wanted to pause here because I don't think that the Roman military actually required you to be single. I think that would have been very counterproductive. I think they would have found a way to get it in. Good to see you, Triple E. Yeah, there's a lot more older books than the Bible. It still cracked me up. Yes, with sharp, pointy teeth. So there we go. I killed Earl being my artist. So there we go. All right, let's continue on the video. Let's see what other fun things this video is going to say.
Did not make the weakening Roman Empire very happy. But Valentine didn't stop. And according to one source, he would even cut out heart shapes from parchment and give them to newlywed couples so that they would be reminded of their vows and God's love for them.
Okay, so this is the legendary origin of the heart shape, but I have heard different stories about the heart shape. So, so there's that. So I don't know. I'm I'm not sure that that's a. It seems like that part might be, and she says it's one source out of the three. So it's like, is that a legendary development of where the heart shape came from that's added later by Valentine's people and romantic people and stuff like that? So, I haven't even actually seen you here today. So, and this is the first time. So, but yeah, I mean, whatever. Okay. I mean, you're kind of accusing people of stuff, but do you have proof of that? See, I don't trust you, TK, because I think you're here for alternative motives, and it kind of does bother me when you come. But hang out. I'm just talking about St. Valentine today, so, and having a little fun. So, yeah, I think that's my problem too, because they're introducing romantic love into a saint that lived in the Roman Empire, and I'm not romantic love. I'm sure was present. People feeling these feelings for each other and all that stuff, but I'm not sure what would. I don't know. It seems like it's a later development, and that's why she says that there's only one. There's only one source that says so. So let's see. Okay, BS says they're actually spade signaling. A couple just stuffed their own. Okay. Yeah. Heart-shaped rocks. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, the heart shape is kind of, supposedly it's connected with Valentine, but I'm not sure that that's the case. Or it's just the fact that you come in here and accuse people of stuff and never offer any evidence. So, I mean, I have rules and you do break them. So, he hasn't been timed out. I kind of figured he's making stuff up. So he's lying again. So that's fine. So there's that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I've had TK in my room before, and he just kind of yells about stuff that doesn't happen. So, hey, damn network, good to see you. Yeah, just going through this video. I think the channel's a Christian channel because of some of their other videos, but they're not overt about it. But the way they talk about issues is really weird. And they did this video about Saint Valentine and already made the claim that his miracle must have been true because all the questionable accounts of it says that it happened. So, so there's that. Yeah, I've heard that rumor too. There's several legendary developments of the heart shape, like, it's not actually a heart. If you turn it upside down, it's something else. So, so there's all kinds of legendary. So there's that. So, but yeah, yes, very erotic. Let's just say that there was a point, at least some have claimed, this is a claim that I have no evidence for, that the heart shape is actually what we would consider the peach emoji, and that the arrows are phallic symbols. So, so there's kind of that aspect to the whole thing, that there's definitely an erotic sexual overtone to the symbols. So, um, yeah, yeah, Earl's hit on it. Arrows, actually, the heart shape, and then the arrows. There you go. So there's that. So, but yeah, there's a lot of, the thing about romantic love is it always blossoms into something else. And so, yes, we are just a fruit basket. That's a theory I'll hold to. That's what I'll give. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the fact that Saint Valentine handed out hearts to the couples he married is so legendary. I just don't know. I don't know what to do with that. But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, all right. Now she says that this is one of those undeniable facts that got him in trouble. So
Courageous actions were seen as a threat, and Valentine was arrested a second time and sent to Claudius II, the prefect of Rome. Number 3. Valentine was martyred on February 14th. Claudius took a liking to his prisoner Valentine's charismatic personality and conversed with him, even though he didn't agree with his Christian beliefs. However, Valentine couldn't keep the gospel to himself. He tried to convert Claudius, which was too much for the prefect, and he ordered Valentine's execution. On February 14th, 269 AD, Valentine was ferociously beaten with clubs, and when that didn't kill him, he was led outside the city gates and beheaded. The church established February 14th as a feast day to commemorate his entrance into heaven.
Okay. So the end of he was martyred is considered one of the facts. I think all three accounts do say that he was martyred. There's a feast day and everything. You're now the fourth, I think the third person that's remarked about her hair. It's like she looks like an old lady with a bun, but I so I don't, it. So Saint Valentine was martyred by this guy Claudius because Claudius admired his courage, but he kept trying to convert Claudius II, and so Claudius got fed up with it and had him martyred instead. Now I really don't. I don't get that. Even in like Roman law would have not allowed him to just be killed because the governor got pissed off. So the governor had to have a legal reason. So I don't buy that part of the story a bit. It seems like Christians writing about a Christian saint at that point. So I don't know. I just, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's yeah, her hair. Yeah, I feel sorry for her if that's her real hair. It's going to make her look older in life. Yeah, probably. Aaron Ra's hair needs some work too. Couldn't keep their beliefs to themselves. Yes, that sounds legit. That's probably true. um, but yeah, he was, the whole story of his martyrdom is he was pissing off the Romans because he was marrying couples and giving them heart-shaped hearts and all that stuff as a commemoration of their wedding. And then they couldn't be drafted in the military, and the military got pissed off about that. But I'm betting that a quick word from the emperor about, hey, let's draft married people too, would have ended that crap in a quick hurry. Um, so, I mean, the problem with the story is it doesn't sound real to me at this point. They wanted a lot of these people to be martyrs, and he gets beaten with clubs. That doesn't work, so they behead him, and that leads to what she's not going to talk about. She's not going to talk about St. Valentine's Day. He has a relic, which is his severed off head that has thorns around it, I guess. And every year on his Saint's Day, it sprouts red roses. That's his relic. And so it's supposedly that's what happens every year, which is a really cool story. And to be honest, that's the kind of relic I would have as a DM put into my D&D campaign, because that's kind of a cool one, if you have the relic at a certain point one day a year, you get granted special wishes and powers. Yeah, that would have made a great quest. So, so there's that. It could be a bad green screen. I agree. So there's that. Oh, it's a wig, huh? Really? Are you sure? Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to, bash on her if she's got a disease that requires her to wear a wig. And unfortunately, she couldn't find something that was young and hip and had to find the old ladies section. But yeah, that's another problem with the story. This is why the historicity of St. Valentine is such a mess. Is the emperors and stuff, the governors and whoever, they don't line up. It's kind of the same problem that Luke has, as they mention these rulers and they just don't line up with what the writer is saying. So it's like, it's that too. Leo look. Okay. Yeah, he is going gray. You know what, dude? You're done. It, dude, you come in here, you be rude, and then you call me a coward. You know what, dude? How about this? How about you develop some manners and respect, because you don't have any? Okay, so I don't, and I'm assuming he got timed out already. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, guys, my problem with TK since he's been here is he's just constantly rude. It's like he doesn't want to engage in anything. He doesn't want to talk about anything. He just wants to be rude and make a lot of accusations and then not back them up. So, you banned him. Okay, thank you. Yeah, he's earned it. Okay. I always let people say, do you ban people? And I say yes, but they really have to earn it. So, yeah, he's a cheater. He's a cheater. So, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, he just doesn't, he's not interested in discourse. He's more interested in just making accusations. And I'm just kind of done with that. So, yeah, but thank you, Earl. Appreciate that. I appreciate my mods, by the way. That's a good opportunity to say thank you, mods. You guys do a good job. I'm glad the timeout rule is being enforced, where we time out people before we ban them, but some people have to push it until they earn it. So there you go. All right. Well, I know how he was supposedly martyred, but that's just questionable on that. So you curtsy? Oh yes, you are a Southern belle. I forgot. So that should be part of your skill set, shouldn't it? I don't know if Northern girls can curtsy anymore. So
The holiday has morphed over the years. Sometime in the Middle Ages, it became associated with romantic love. In 1969, the church took St. Valentine's Day off the liturgical calendar because of the uncertainties about parts of his biography, particularly the period between his 2 arrests.
okay, she's trying to pull the uncertainty of the historical account to, well, there's this uncertainty between his 2 arrests. No, honey, there's a certainty about the whole thing. And you pointed out the reason why at the beginning of the video is that none of these sources have good backing. So, oh, I'm glad some women still do that stuff. Summer of '69, yeah. There's some funny part. It's Valentine's Day. We've been talking about the symbols of Valentine's Day and the fact that they got rid of his holiday in 1969, the year I was born, just makes this so much more funny. So, yeah, that's the problem. This is the problem with St. Valentine, my friend, is so much of it is legend and it's all mixed together, and pulling out the historical reality of St. Valentine, it's hard. Do I think a guy might have existed with that name? Yes. Did he maybe do some of the things they accuse him from? Maybe. But you can't pin anything down, okay, with St. Valentine. And there's just so much bullshit, that gets, associated with him, and that's the thing. But she is right. It did at some point get associated with romantic love. And I could see, with the hearts being handed out to the young couples that he marries and some of the other stuff, being where the romantic side of that would come, isn't that romantic that they would get married so they would avoid the being drafted into the military and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's, like her. Yeah, I'm okay with it too. But when people make grandiose claims like this without certainty, yeah, it's better to say, I'm uncertain about this fact, but this is what she would have been better if she'd used words like the legend of St. Valentine says, because that's what it really is. It's a legendary development. And so there's the real Saint Valentine that may have existed and did stuff, but then there's all these legends like his miracle and the heart-shaped thing and how it became associated with romantic love. Yeah, there's just none of that stuff. Okay, so oh yeah, it does sound like a certain transient rabbi, doesn't it? It's the same problem, really. I've made the connection. That's why I do some of these older saints sometimes, and I look at them because there's so much stuff that's very similar to Jesus, and it makes you think that these legendary stories were just interchangeable, so yeah, that's the other problem. And so to have this heart-shaped shape way back in the day is like, okay, no, I don't think so. It's more 17th century and later. So yes, I like the movie Braveheart too, but history it was not either. And that's the thing. I think what I have with with Saint Valentine here is the same thing you have with like Jesus. It's like it's fan fiction. It's what we would call fan fiction. And yeah, I get that a lot. People get upset with me all the time. We just got a guy banned because he gets upset with me. And all I do is point out facts to people. You don't really have good evidence for that is probably one of the most common things I say to theists. And they get pissed off about it. So, but yeah, I'm glad I paused it here. So When does he shoot the? That's Cupid. Sorry, Dave. Different legend. With the Bigfoot thing, you should put the other things like Cupid. Does Cupid actually exist? He seems to shoot off a lot of damn arrows this time of year, with very mixed results, by the way. So, yeah, yeah. I think I get that a lot, Earl. I don't really treat people rudely, even theists, because I used to be one. So I understand the delusion and I understand the emotional attachment, and so I try to respect that. But man, the people that come here, they just get mad at me because I just say that's not good evidence. I just say that statement, and all of a sudden, you know, they're mad at me. I mean, the guy we had yesterday was just mad because I told him J. Warner Wallace was a piece of shit. Okay, and there's good documentation for that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, Cupid is a troublemaker. That guy's an asshole. He needs to work on his aim. Because some of the people he hits. So there's that. Yes. Yeah. I, I'm not, I just have a problem with Jay Warner ever since Prophet of Zod broke his story. Cause it's like, okay, so he's basically full of shit. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's like I was insulting his mom or something. Like, and I get it because religious belief gets very ingrained, and the lady's face kind of says it all. The moment you challenge somebody's faith, they get that it's like a personal attack, and it's not personal. Okay. It's like, yeah. So there's that, but yeah. Yeah. All excuses. Okay. So, but she's talking about the period between his two arrests being problematic for St. Valentine. It's actually the whole thing. Okay. It really is the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, I've reacted to Wallace before the story came out about his bad origin stories, like he was making shit up. And I reacted to some of his, and it's like, dude, are you completely forgetting what you did as a police officer, like as a detective? Like, you would not accept the Gospels as testimony for a crime, okay, because they're anonymous and the sources in them for that stuff is anonymous. Would you put that in front of a court and say this is good evidence? Hell no. But somehow he always made it an exception. So even before that crap, he was bad for me. So. All right, it's got a little bit of time left in this one, so let's see what else she has to say.
But the paper hearts and the symbols of love continue year by year. It is said that one of Valentine's final letters before his execution was sent to Asterius's daughter. With her renewed sight, she would have seen his signature at the end, which read, "Your Valentine."
Okay, so we're claiming that the whole idea of "be my Valentine, your Valentine" comes from this supposed letter sent to Asterius's daughter, who he healed, supposedly, allegedly, and then yeah, it's kind of too cute to be true. It's like the funny thing about this video is it's like the modern myths and legends about Valentine's Day coupled with Saint Valentine, who's a little bit of a legendary figure himself. And so you can kind of play with it and make it a nice, cute video out of it. That's where the paper hearts came from. And that's, and this is where "Be My Valentine" came from and all that other stuff. So, yes, allegedly, always allegedly. So, yeah, almost exactly, but not entirely unlike that, huh? But yeah, we have this tradition of having "Your Valentine be my Valentine," and we got to connect it to the saint somehow. So, honestly, that's as valid a theory as I've ever heard, Michael. When it comes to religious and religious saints. So yeah, absolutely. So there's that. But they've been degrimmed to be child safe. Yeah, I know. See, I did because I'm a writer, I often draw like my fantasy fiction often draws from like ancient European legends like the Brothers Grimm. And like when you look up the real original story for some of that shit, that's some pretty brutal, grim stuff. They could have put that into their name. But yeah, this is the problem with this right now is like you're stretching things a bit with Mr. Valentine. So, but like the story of Little Red Riding Hood isn't that all of that innocent of a story when you get back to its real origins. So, um, it's kind of a grim one actually. The Brothers Grimm, yeah, they could have done that. Yeah. Okay, so that's where your Valentine comes from, allegedly. So, is there anything else in this video?
So the next time someone asks, who was Saint Valentine and why do we celebrate him on February 14th? Remember these 3 things. Number 1, Valentine prayed for God to heal the blind daughter of a Roman judge, and God did.
That's alleged, not proven. Only testimony from 3 very suspicious accounts says so. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to say that that's a fact. Yeah. That's the other thing about some of these. Yeah, in the original story, there's some really brutal stuff with Sleeping Beauty. So, yeah, it's they when these fairy tales were put into place, they were broken down, and I think it's good to bring this stuff up here because when I look at Saint Valentine, I think a lot of things there are also like the martyrdom where he gets beheaded and everything. I feel like that's the brutal aspect, and then we throw in the hearts and the "Be My Valentine" to kind of soften the blow, which is pretty typical. Yeah, Cinderella. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a feet fetish, I think, as Martin points out. But yeah, I think there were very adult origins to a lot of these fairy tales. They were told in bawdy houses and taverns long before they made it anyway into children's books. So, yeah, they do say that he did this miracle, but the historical sources are kind of questionable. She points this out at the beginning of the video that everything about St. Valentine comes from 3 different sources that we're shrugging our shoulders about a lot overall. So, yeah, Little Mermaid turns into sea foam. Yeah, because the thing about all the other fairy tales that I looked into is there's not always happy endings. In fact, most of them are tragedies. And then later on, they were wrote into happy endings. I find that very, very interesting that when they were translated and rewritten later, that they absolutely, did that. So, but yeah, what else?
Number 2, Valentine was arrested a second time because he evangelized pagans and helped Christians. Number 3, Valentine was martyred on February 14th. For What Would You Say? I'm Brooke McIntyre.
Well, thank you very much, Brooke. Okay. Yeah. See, the problem is when we talk about fairy tales and then I talk about the lives of saints, it seems like there's a lot of similarities in what human beings do to stories. And I feel like St. Valentine is one of those things that there might have been a guy who was marrying, couples illegally. That has happened in history. That's not unbelievable to me. I just find it unbelievable that the Roman army wouldn't take married people. So, I mean, every military has at some point taken married men, or women, depending. And on the cultural standards, but I just don't buy that part. And maybe there's a lot of stuff about St. Valentine's origins that are based on accounts that are just so weak, worse than the Gospels, and that's saying something. So, yeah, this is quite frankly a real possibility. Now that I look at history a little bit differently, Leslie, I really do think that this is something that the early church made up. Because there's the thing about the church persecution, when you really look at it, it's not as bad as the church makes out. It wasn't as constant and continual as the Roman Empire was very open to other religions as long as you bowed your knee to Rome. They didn't give a damn. So it was like, well, I would say all of those are questionable. Okay, because she says it at the beginning, the accounts are questionable. Who wrote, there's some big problems with the stuff. So, but as an atheist, I dismiss all of that. I don't necessarily dismiss the idea that he was marrying couples to avoid something. That's pretty mundane claim, but the miracle, nope. So, it's allegedly that he did a miracle. But the standard of evidence for miracles should be much higher than somebody said so. So, and that's all we really have. Yeah, I don't know. Does it make you weak in battle? There's arguments on both sides. But yeah. Yeah, they're less, the Germans are. Yeah, Valentine's Day is evidence for Valentine. That's how it works. She did point out that it was pulled. Okay, they did pull his Saint Day. And that's because of the historical problems with him. I mean, I get that the church still maintains the miracles and they still maintain all that stuff, but it's not his day anymore per se. And that's an acknowledgement of the fact that the source material for Saint Valentine shows to me evidence of alteration. And if you find other text of it and see certain things missing or added, then you can see, oh yeah, they were adding to the text or building the legend and stuff like that. So yes, evidence for VD is overwhelming. How unfortunate that Valentine's Day also has the same initials, isn't it? Yeah, Hallmark cards. Yeah. See, I like doing these little dives into stuff like this because it's kind of fun. And I was looking for something to do on Valentine's Day because I'm certainly not going out on a date. So, at least this year. So maybe next, we'll see. But it's just like, it's, yes. See, and that's the thing, I much more appreciate, Valentine's Day when you consider the real meanings behind some of the symbols that might be there. And, it becomes a little bit more, I once told somebody, because every once in a while I'll be at work and I just kind of giggle to myself. And somebody once poked me in the rib, why are you, giggling at that? I says, well, I'm kind of dirty minded, and that always makes conversations a little bit more interesting, like regular conversations, more interesting. So, yes, and pun time. Valentine's Day. I don't know. Does he deserve a day? I don't know. Maybe. Consumer consumption is the story. Easter was the big deal until Coca-Cola made a jelly sandwich out of camp. And the Bible engulfs it in 2 years. Yes. There is some truth. Because I work in retail. And so the fact that last night, okay, I'm working and I am replacing Valentine's Day stuff with Easter on as Valentine's Day dawns. It's like it's the next holiday all the time with retail. It's like as soon as you can get rid of one, you get to the next one. And I have to wonder, you have to really wonder about the whole thing sometimes. It's nice to have days where you celebrate. Like, I wouldn't mind Valentine's Day as a celebrate love and relationships and stuff like that if they didn't shove it down my face all the time. So yeah, you and me both, Earl. You and me both. If people have a clean mind, I think they're up to something. So there's something. But yeah, I just find that I can listen to everyday conversations, and because I have that mind, it just makes them much more entertaining. So I mean, it's that way. I just don't trust them. So yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've tried. I think as an atheist, I come to understand this even better. That I got up today. They're not throwing dirt in my face, so it's a good day. Maybe that's a real stoic way of looking at life, but I just kind of take each day as they come, and it's kind of one. Yeah, very true, very true. It's because after the holidays, January is an awful month for retail. It's horrible. They barely make enough to keep everything going. And so they have to live off the December thing. And so, yeah, Valentine's Day kind of gives you that economic, shot in the arm to get going again. So there's that. But yeah, I debunk apologetics mostly as an atheist. I've looked at a lot of apologetics when I was a theist, because I was a Christian for 40 years and a pastor for 20 of those years, and spent a lot of time after getting an education dealing with the apologetical questions. I actually tried to be an apologist for a while, but I was too intellectually honest. So I began to realize that a lot of apologetics is nothing more than excuses as to why certain information doesn't exist. So yeah, problem solved. I don't know. You have to see, the thing is that doesn't sell. I'm going to tell you that right now, Michael. That just doesn't sell. You got to connect it with some human thing, like Valentine's Day is connected to love and romance. You got Easter, which is really a fertility holiday. So there's another one, and you got to connect that that stuff to all that. So you got to connect a holiday to something, like Labor Day is connected to organized labor. You got it. Holidays have some sort of meaning, and you have to do that. So just spending money to spend money, people don't do that. You got to have a reason for it. I'm not really sure atheists have to do apologetics, because we don't really make a claim. Okay, we just say, all your claims for your gods, yeah, don't buy them. And here's why. So yeah, there you go. There you go. See, I actually find birthdays to be much more enjoyable now. Yeah, make up your own holidays. There you go. I'm with Coyote. Let's make them up. Yeah, sorry, we don't need apologetics. Okay, I don't have anything to apologize for, and I also I'm just saying I don't believe in Christianity any more than I don't, for the same reasons I don't believe in Islam or Hinduism. So I don't really have that shot for capitalism. I'm not sure people can get a romantic spin out of capitalism. I'm not against the idea, but it's just like I not all atheists claim that God doesn't exist. They say that the evidence that has been presented to them for any God's existence is insufficient. And they just don't believe in a God because they haven't been given convincing evidence to. There's two types of atheists. There's the agnostic atheist and the Gnostic one. There are some that do claim there is no God. And I would tell them at that point, yes, then they do need to back up that claim. And the problem is a lot of the arguments against the existence of, say, the omni-God are pretty damn good. Okay, so it's if you water down God a little bit, then it gets harder for you to deal. But that kind of makes its own point, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like you got to prove. I don't claim the existence of a God or anything supernatural, so I don't have to really prove that. Yeah, that's Dave put it the best. It's the fault is the theists haven't provided me good reasons to convert me. Give me a good reason to believe in a God. So, it involves alcohol and Irish. Imagine that. I was there for a St. Patrick's Day. You know, that bugger holiday is popular with the Hispanics too, because I lived among them and they celebrated St. Patrick's Day. It was weird. Yeah, not testing yourself. Same thing happened for you. So, like, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Dave does a lot of Bigfoot stuff, so and he kind of proves that point. It's one of the clever ways that Dave does things, is he says there's more evidence for Bigfoot than there is for Jesus. So, well, there's that. Yeah, I don't think I don't think anybody passes up a trance to get drunk if they need an excuse. I think that's why if you look up holidays, you will find a holiday in some culture somewhere in every day of the week. So there's that. Oh, there's so much truth for that. Can there at least be a God to get rid of the religions that do bullshit? Okay. Yeah. The most of the arguments against the existence of God are usually against the omni God. That was one of my criticisms. Like, there needs to be an argument that kind of dismisses all gods regardless of form, and that doesn't really exist. So, all hail Bigfoot. Yep. I started thinking this guy was an idiot. Alcohol in the future. Yeah. I'm with you. I have some friends who are also struggling. They were alcoholics and still are, and they struggle. So, and alcoholism runs in my family, and somehow I've managed to avoid it. So have my kids, so that's good. But yeah. No, I don't believe in a God, just like you don't believe in Odin. Do you have to provide reasons for why you don't believe in Odin? Do you have to provide reason? I mean, if you're going to make me provide reasons why I don't believe in your God, then I want you to provide reasons for why you don't believe in the other 3,999 of them. So I don't know. So yeah. Oh, isn't that the way though? You meet new friends, you get drunk together, and then it leads to more problems. But yeah, so but yeah, there's that. Oh, I don't believe in God, but I'm not making the claim that there isn't one. That's two very different things. Okay, belief and knowledge of are two different things. People can believe in things they have no knowledge of. Okay, and vice versa. You can have knowledge of something and that formulates your belief. But those are two very different questions. I yell at agnostics for that all the time myself. It's like, do you have an active belief in a God? Well, no. So you're an agnostic atheist. Atheism is about belief. Do you believe in God or not? Gnosticism is, do you know or don't you know? Okay, so those are two different things. So, given the evidence presented to me, no, I don't believe that God exists any more than I believe Odin or Thor or Zeus or any of those exist. And I would guess that you join me in those disbeliefs. See, this is one of the things you folks that advocate for God don't seem to get when you try to press me about my atheism. You're an atheist too. You're just very selective about the gods that you're an atheist about. So don't ask me for proof of why your God doesn't exist if you haven't provided proof for all the other gods that you say don't exist too. So the fact is, you and I are in agreement about probably most of the gods that exist. We don't believe that they exist. And my disbelief. So that's the point. Yes, and that's the problem. Okay. So if you don't have, I'm not asking for you to provide evidence of why you don't believe in Odin. But if you press me on why I don't believe in your God, I'm going to press you to provide that evidence of why you don't believe in Odin, why you don't believe in Vishnu, why you don't, because there's a good chance you just dismiss him because the evidence isn't convincing to you. Well, same for me with your God. Okay. And I'm just saying, if that's a good enough answer for you for 3,999, it should be a good enough answer for me to you about yours. Okay. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had a nice conversation about St. Valentine today, but it's like there's too much legendary development for me to buy that saint. I'm glad that certain things I mean, I appreciate like the Valentine's Day symbols having erotic overtones. That's a nice humorous element to me. But yes, the thing about theists is you're all selective. All of you are pretty much a selective theist. You believe in stuff and you dismiss the belief in others without you don't feel compelled to prove they don't exist. You just dismiss them. And so that's the end of it. So why is it bad for me as an atheist to say, well, yeah, I don't really find the evidence for your God to be all that convincing either. In fact, I don't find the evidence for any of them to be convincing. So you could end atheism by finding a convincing argument that would convince most people of the existence of a God. So far, no dice. So, yes, they did, because they didn't believe in the Roman pantheon. Okay, so atheism is a really weird term because it has been used in the way I say it has. Okay, like if I don't believe in Odin and an Odinist confronts me, to them, I am an atheist about their God. Okay, and so the difference between us atheists that don't believe in any gods is we're not really selective about the gods we don't believe in. We just don't believe in all of them. So, but belief and knowing whether there's a God or not is two different things. And there's definitely Gnostic atheists out there that will tell you that there is no God. And I say, well, you just made a claim. You better prove that. Yeah. So, but I don't make that claim. I'm really damn close to, but I don't. I guess I hold the door open. Give me some examples. Oh. It is a strange term, but it reflects a reality. Like the person knows they know there is no God. Okay, that's what their claim is. So yes, and Michael points out another point about that too. Is like I'm a very Gnostic atheist about the Abrahamic gods. Okay, the God, and I use the word plural on purpose because Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and all that stuff. And it's like, well, that's all one God. No, it's an attempt to turn polytheism into monotheism. So let's be honest about it. So, yeah. Yeah, no dice. Nobody's throwing up a 7 here. So, yeah, I mean, but I don't believe a God exists, at least not presently. That's the thing about belief is you can believe or not. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But yes, but when it relates to God, it's like if I ask a person, do you have an active belief in any God? And they say no, they're an atheist. So it's like whether they know for sure that a God exists is irrelevant. It's their belief that's the issue. So, yeah, I mean, that's the question that I put forth as an atheist. Do you have empirical, objectively verifiable, observable, repeatable, testable evidence for your religion? Because that's the real test for me. Okay. And I would say after 40 years of being a Christian and looking at all the evidence and basically setting it aside and saying that that's not really good evidence. I could believe any God with most of the evidence that Christians provide. I just have to change the name. Okay. I mean, most of the arguments for the existence of God would work for any God. You just change the name and you have an argument for the existence of Zeus, Odin, or Thor. So, yeah, of course they're atheists because they believe in a God. Okay. An atheist doesn't believe in any God. And I would say that somebody who doesn't believe in particular gods, okay, you're also still being an atheist about that God. You have the same attitude as an atheist about Odin as I do. Okay. And you have probably the same reasons for not believing in him. I'm just saying that for your God, I apply the same thing. And that's the only difference. So, if I no, if I don't believe in a God, I am an atheist. Okay. You have to believe in some sort of God to be a theist by your own admission in your previous comment. If somebody doesn't believe in any God at all, they're an atheist. Okay. Okay. Now they can be an agnostic atheist in the sense, well, I don't really know that there's not a God, but I'm going to push my belief in saying there isn't one. I don't believe there is one because I haven't really been given sufficient evidence. That's an agnostic atheist. Those are two different terms. Gnosis is about knowing. Theism is about belief. So those are two very different epistemologies. Which is some places where Valentine's Day does go. That's unfortunate. So, yes, Islam is bringing back the pantheon. I appreciate that humor, by the way. As somebody who knows theology and religion, I appreciate it. So, yeah, you don't have to have a real God to believe. I mean, if a guy believes in Odin, they're a theist. Okay. But most people, except for Odinists and pagans, dismiss the existence of Odin. And even some of them will say that they're like humanist concepts that have been given some sort of personalized form. So, yeah, it's belief versus knowledge, and there are four possible combinations. Okay, you can be a Gnostic theist where you absolutely say that you know that there is a God. I mean, most of the theists who come here and give me shit are Gnostic theists. They absolutely believe. They not only believe there is a God, they know in their heart of hearts that there is a God. And then there's others, well, I believe in God, but I'm not really sure about the knowledge of whether we can know. And then they become a Gnostic theist. So there's four quadrants to this. It's epistemology is also why we know as well. So, like in epistemology, they'll talk about the difference between knowledge and belief and other forms of how we assess things. But epistemology isn't just about belief, it's also about why we know what we know and why we think we know what we know. I don't believe in any gods at all. That makes me an atheist. Theism is about belief. Gnosis is about knowledge. It's all in the words. Okay, this isn't hard to understand. Okay, There are four quadrants. You can be a Gnostic theist, where you know there is a God. You can be an agnostic theist, where you believe in a God, but you don't know whether there is one or not. You can be an agnostic atheist, where you don't believe in a God, but you're not sure whether we can know there's a God or not. You can also be a Gnostic atheist, which says, I both know there is no God and I don't believe in one. Those are your four options. So, yes, he does exist in comic books and movies. Yeah, I mean, so, I am an atheist. So I don't identify as an atheist. I also identify as an agnostic atheist, because although I'm going to tell you on Dawkins' scale, I'm at a 6.969 at this point, because it's funny and dinner for four, but also it's pretty close to where I'm getting, so there's that. Yes, bunny teeth. Yeah. Cookies for everyone, that's right. Yeah, there's plenty of preachers that'll tell you that they don't have any hard evidence for God and still believe and preach. That makes them agnostic theists. Okay, they know that they can't know for sure, but they still believe. Okay, and I'm with them on the agnosticism and not with them on the theism. So I don't believe in any. So oh yeah. Oh man, once you free your mind of religion, your mind can go anywhere on mythology. It's great. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's another problem. I don't know. So, oh, eh, is there one by REM? Very romantic. Okay. I mean, I don't know any St. Valentine songs. It's probably all the stupid love songs that people write. And unfortunately, I'm kind of a sappy love song person as part of my musical genre collection. It's one of my weaknesses is sappy love songs. So, Heart Shaped Box by Nirvana. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard, isn't it? There's like Christmas songs aplenty, Easter songs aplenty, but not Valentine's Day. It makes you wonder if most of the singing is done in other places. So, yeah, you're the one that I want. Yeah, that's John Travolta, actually, and his sidekick in the movie Grease. So, uh, all you need is love. Yeah, the Beatles did that one. Bird was the word. Yeah, I love that song. There's a parody. Okay. There's always parodies of something. Parody songs. You tend to know more breakup songs. Me too. Oh, but yeah. I mean, there is no. Coldplay had one. Hmm. There you go. Yeah, if you're going to break up, give them the middle finger at the same time. Is that what you're saying? Okay. I can buy that. At least that, to me, that's more honest than like, we can still be friends and, you know, we'll talk sometime, which is all bullshit. I'd rather have you, you know, like hate me so I can hate you back and get over it quicker. So, breakup songs are breakup songs. Uh, well, sorry, I would disagree. I don't think that it's that complicated. Okay. It's like, can we know for sure or not is the agnostic part. And the belief part is theist, atheist. So you can be, I don't think it's that confusing. So I think people try to make it confusing because they want to say, like you're saying, I'm not an atheist, but I'm like, I don't believe in any gods. So how am I a theist? How would I be defined as a theist if I don't believe in any gods? So Taylor Swift tells it like it is. Yeah, maybe. No, there's plenty of people that are theists that will tell you they can't prove their theism. So your ex and you are still besties. I find that weird. So, it's weird. So, uh, yeah, I think most of us are in Earl's camp. Like, I genuinely know that the Abrahamic God doesn't exist. He's so made up. So, but yeah. Well, you know, if you need imaginary victories to help you get through the day, I guess I'll let you have it. It's a good way to avoid reality, I guess. I mean, if you got to go into fantasy to avoid reality, I guess that's your business. Music is witchcraft? I sincerely hope so. That would be proof of some sort of spirituality, but I love music. Yeah, pretty much. But it also means that we can be very Gnostic about particular gods. I am very, very sure that a lot of the gods don't exist, but I always leave the door cracked for somebody to give me reasons to believe. So, yeah, okay. That's skating on thin ice there, brother. I mean, because there's no Lord to rebuke me. I mean, why are you casting magic spells and curses at me, by the way? So, yes, this is why I do music. It's therapy. Yeah, there's a band called Witchcraft. There's also a lot of bands called all kinds of things that most people don't like, I guess. Religious people, I'm sure. Yep, definitely art. I love music as art form. Yeah, it does. It I'm very knowledgeable in the sense that I absolutely know that music has an effect on my emotions and can be used to manipulate me. But sometimes I straight up want to manipulate myself into a certain mood. So because I'm not feeling the mood I'm in. So there's that. Yeah, without drugs or with. Just ask all the people from the 1960s. Come on. I have heard that you cannot listen to psychedelic rock without being on LSD if you want to get the full effect. So I'm just saying. Yeah, it's kind of that's a good way to put it. I like to hack myself with music. Like I'm not feeling good, so let's put on a song to change the mood. So it's why religion uses music because like worship teams have become popular because they become necessary. So yeah. Which Battlestar Galactica? Which one? I'm going to test how old you are. You can't listen to Toto when on THC. You like drugs with your music. Okay. Oh, the female one? No, I'm old school with that. I go all the way back to the original Starbuck and the original Battlestar Galactica from the 70s. I watched that. You know, I get the female Starbuck is probably sexier, but the women at the time the original Starbuck was around didn't think so. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a large part of my therapy since deconverting has been musical. Um, it's amazing when you get rid of the guilt of you can't listen to a certain band in the back of your head because they're evil and satanic, and you get rid of that shit and you start listening to them and you realize how beautiful their music is. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's one of those things that just kind of get you out of that sort of stuff. But I become more of a fan of some other metal groups that I used to do not be a fan of because there was this religious blockage to it. So okay, well, that's fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're theists are always welcome on my channel because I deal with deconversion. It's one of my main focuses. But it's you know, often people, my biggest problem is theists who come here and yell at me as an atheist, and I point out to them that they don't believe in a lot of gods themselves. I just don't believe in all of them. Okay. And until somebody gives me good evidence and good reasons to believe in one, that's the way it's going to be. And I used to believe, but I don't anymore. Okay. And it's something I think most theists don't take into account when they come here to criticize me, which is, dude, you don't believe in all these other gods for the same reasons I don't believe in yours. Okay. and they don't really consider that point. Okay. And so when you're talking to an atheist, I feel like you're being genuine a little bit here, but you're genuinely trying to understand what atheism is. The one thing you should never listen to about atheists is apologists because they misrepresent us all the time. And it really pisses me off. And I deal with that all the time on this channel. So, but yeah. Well, there's a lot of hot women in history. Let's be honest. I'm more of a, yeah, I'm not sure the Bible's monotheistic either. When you look at the Old Testament, um, the phrase that kind of gives it away is God saying, "You shall have no other gods before me," indicating that other gods exist. So that's one of the. I used to be a fundamentalist Christian once upon a time, Assemblies of God Pentecostal boy, and I was later a Congregationalist pastor, and took more of that thing. So that aspect of it. So, but yes, I definitely was full blown Christian. So, but I dumped it all when I realized there's no evidence for it that's really good or convincing. So I spent a lot of time analyzing things. It's seminary that did that to me, and Bible college, and just generally studying the Bible. Yeah, I when I was in my fundy days as a Pentecostal, they didn't allow rock and roll, and when I introduced Christian rock to the youth group, I was a rebel. So, um, yeah, I mean, once again, to me, the Trinity is trying to make polytheism into monotheism, and it doesn't work. So, Catholics were not proper Christians, and quite frankly, I still don't think they're proper Christians. They claim they are, but I think they drifted off that path a long time ago. So, yeah, and your Bible's wrong because none of us worship Satan here. I don't believe in him either. I don't believe in demons either. Okay, and that's the thing. What your Bible says is patently false about atheists. Okay, and so it's wrong. Like the whole Romans 1:18 through 23 thing. I genuinely don't believe in God, and that book says that I do, and they're wrong. Paul's wrong, and that's the problem. So, but yeah, that's what your Bible says, but it's like, nah, the Bible's wrong about atheists. So, you know, oh yes, I remember those guys. They came to my church. There was who is the Peters brothers. They used to be the American version of that, where they would come around to churches and youth groups and youth rallies and stuff and talk about the backward masking of rock and roll and the satanic origins and all that shit, and try to try to convince us that rock and roll was of the devil. And yeah. Yeah. It could be. I mean, that's the problematic part. In Questionable Witnesses, we're about to get into John the Baptist. And honestly, I shrug my shoulders about John the Baptist a lot. So, and a lot of scholars do too. So well, but then you're not really a monotheist, because if you acknowledge other gods, then you believe in other gods. So you're polytheistic. There's a form of polytheism that holds one God as true and the rest as liars, but it's still polytheism. So, oh man, what a fun evening. You guys are always fun. The chat's lit. Yeah. Yeah, the satanic panic crap. I lived through the satanic panic, so here I am. But you say that they exist, but they don't exist. I'm a little confused. Do they exist or not? Okay, because God seems to certainly think, the Old Testament God Yahweh certainly thinks that other gods exist. He says so in the commandments. And many times the battles between his people and other people are also battles between the two gods, and it openly says so. So there you go. And so that brings up the question, how do you know yours isn't man-made and false? How do you know that for sure? How do you know that one of the rest of those wasn't true and yours is the man-made false one? I mean, that's the question. Okay. Because you're making the claim that yours is the only real one. How do you know that? Okay. What evidence do you have for that? How do you adjudicate between their existence and the existence of yours? Yeah. See, that's what immediately atheists are going to come up with this. So is yours. Prove me wrong. Yours is false and everything else. Prove yours isn't false. Okay. Well, but I get what you're saying. But if you're acknowledging other gods and your God acknowledges other gods, do you have a true belief about other gods? So I'm sorry, the Old Testament is very polytheistic. Okay. Yahweh acknowledges the existence of other gods that he's fighting against. Okay. He's a war god that fights against other gods. He's a hill god that fights against other gods. He openly says so on a couple occasions. So it's like he acknowledges their existence. So why don't you? So, Yeah, I mean, I don't know is a good answer. Yeah, my God is true. I made him up. Yep. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying your God does. If you're following the Old Testament God, your God says, you shall have no other gods before me. That doesn't make any sense if no other gods exist. Why doesn't he just say, no other gods exist, so I'm the only true one? Worship me. But he doesn't say that. He says, you shall have no other gods before me. And he uses the word for God. He talks about his battles with Baal. He talks about it, one of the genocides is predicated by the fact that it was a battle between him and some other god as well. The ancient Near Eastern gods was polytheistic. They were just all prickwagging about their own personal one. Sorry, you better go read the text again. Okay, go read the Old Testament. There are several times where God definitely says, I'm going to show myself greater than the god Dagobah. He doesn't say Dagobah doesn't exist or Dagon or whatever. He says he's going to show himself greater than and beat him, acknowledging that God's existence. You need to read your text because in the Old Testament, God is very much about beating the other gods. So, I mean, go read it for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Yes, I offer listen. Don't come cheap. I always wanted to do good evil. Okay, well, yeah. But yeah, you need to read your text. I mean, I became a non-Christian because of this fact that God spends a lot of time talking about how he's going to whoop on other gods. That doesn't mean shit if they don't actually exist. Okay, to that mythology. Okay, you read the Old Testament, it's all about him whooping the other gods. Okay, the whole mythology about Exodus and the 10 plagues. The 10 plagues is a direct, I'm beating up your gods. Okay, so yeah, yeah, it says that, but then the rest of the history of God's interaction with other gods says otherwise. It's one of the contradictions in scripture. Thanks for pointing it out. Okay. Like literally there are passages where God says he's going to beat up some other God. Well, that doesn't make shit sense if that God doesn't exist. Okay, why doesn't he just say that God doesn't really exist? He doesn't say that. This is what, thanks for pointing out that Deuteronomy and the rest of the Pentateuch is probably written by two different people. Okay. So it's like, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but you just pointed out a contradiction in scripture where we have Deuteronomy 4:35 saying that, and then God saying other things in the 10 commandments, saying other things in the histories of Israel. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I mean, yeah, there's some definite cherry picking here, but yes, I mean, if you read the stories of the battles, I mean, like the one land dispute that Jephthah gets involved with, it clearly says that God Yahweh is going up against Chorazin, the god of the people they're fighting. Okay, and I'm quoting the 10 Commandments, by the way. You shall have no other gods before me. Why didn't he just say no other gods exist? He doesn't say that. So there's that. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but there's tons of verses where God talks about the problem with searching for this stuff is I get 65 Christian sites, but it's like, I've read the text, but let's just look at, do not follow other gods or the gods of the people around you. Among you is a jealous God and his anger. Why would God be jealous of other gods if they didn't fucking exist? Okay, why doesn't he just step up and say, these other gods don't exist? There is an acknowledgement in the Old Testament that other gods exist because of the way God treats them. Okay, you have to look. Yeah, I need to train my algorithm rather, because because the problem is I do Christian research like a Christian would in order to debunk them, and then I end up in that vein. So, but it's like, let's look at that commandment. You shall have no other gods before me, because I'm a jealous God. Well, why would you be jealous of something that doesn't exist? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, you have, when you have this big case, like when Samson is in the house of Dagon, the god of the Philistines, it has, when the ark is taken during Samuel's time, it's like, why have this whole conflict with Dagon, the god, why don't you just say he doesn't exist? Okay, he doesn't say that. Okay, so why would he be jealous of man? If he's an omnipotent, omniscient God, why would he be jealous at all? This is where your God doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Why would he be jealous of other gods? Why would he say, don't worship other gods? Why doesn't he just say they don't exist? Sorry, this is the contradiction in the Bible. You can have Deuteronomy 4:35 all you want, but there are tons of passages where God is literally treating the other gods as if they're real. Okay. And you don't really know your God either. Okay, you say you know a God, but you haven't demonstrated that you do. Okay, anybody can claim to know a God. I know Odin. I know my God Odin. That's his emptiest statement. Okay. Yeah. Adam had a lot of kids, according to the text, especially if he lived as long as they said he did. But yeah, I'm sorry. The Ten Commandments acknowledges other gods' existence. Okay. That was one of the things that got away. That's a contradiction, because Deuteronomy 4:35 does say that, but it's like, you have God going into battle, and he has a problem with iron chariots too. So that God has iron chariots, so he whipped his ass. So it's like, you have your God who seems to be a puny God. I almost want to play the clip of Hulk smashing Loki at this point, but it's like, I'm sorry. I've read the Old Testament text, and one of the things that struck me is how God never openly states himself, necessarily, that, except in Deuteronomy 4:35, that no other gods exist. Every time he goes up against a god, I'm jealous of a god. Well, why would he be jealous of any worship of man-made things either? Why would an omnipotent, omniscient being who's secure in himself be jealous of anything? Which leads to my other contradiction of scripture, which is my favorite one. My Lord, you're my jealous God. And then you have John that says, 1 John, that says God is love. And then you got Paul in 1 Corinthians saying love is not jealous. Okay, so is God jealous? If God is love and God is jealous, then something has to give. One of those verses is false. So it's like, sorry, you have to read your Bible more without your preconditioned blinders on to accept it as truth. Okay, you're accepting a God you've made up in your head that doesn't line up with the Bible. Okay, because the Bible is pretty clear. Why would you be jealous of anything if you're this all-powerful being secure in yourself? That doesn't make any damn sense. A very human-made God would say something like that, but not, yeah. Yes, because like the god Chemosh kicked Yahweh's ass in 2 Kings 3, iron chariots, I recall. So God got beat. Okay. and it openly says that in the text of the scripture. That, the idea when you read the Old Testament is there's these gods and these people groups, and they're all fighting each other, and the gods are also fighting with them. A very common thought in paganism and in polytheism. It doesn't say false gods. Where does it say false? Does it say false gods? It says, do not follow the other gods or the gods of the people around you. The Lord God is among you. Is a jealous God, and his anger burns against you and destroy you from the face of the land. Where does it say false? Right. Let's see, Exodus 20, right? Which is falsely called the Ten Commandments, but shall have no other gods before me. It doesn't say false. Shall not do that. Shall then punish the children. It never says false gods. There's no idea of false gods. That's your addition. Okay, that's you reading into the text. That's eisegesis. Sorry, it doesn't say false gods. For you to read that in there, I don't say. The Exodus 34, the New Stone tablets, and the only place where it actually is called the Ten Commandments by the text itself. Do not worship any other God, for the Lord God whose name is jealous, a jealous God. There's no mention of false gods. There's none of that anywhere. Okay. Yeah, he loves me so much he's going to cast me into hell someday. Yeah, fuck that. That nothing says fuck you like burning somebody forever. And little Jesus, meek and mild, with his doctrine of hell, created that one. So, but I'm not trying to be a dick, but there's no false god in the commandments. It just says gods. Don't worship any other gods. It doesn't say false gods. It doesn't say dumb idols, any of that stuff. You get the prophets saying that later, but that's a later theological development. But at the time of the Ten Commandments, when supposedly Moses wrote all this shit, nope. But you're breeding in the idea of false gods. Doesn't have that there. No, he's saying, I have to be first among all the other gods. You're reading into the text again. He doesn't say that he's alone, the only God there. He says, you shall have no other gods before me. What he's saying is, I got to be number one. You can have other gods, but you can't have them more in your devotion than me. Okay. He's dismissing and pushing aside, but he is not saying he's alone and the only God. That's not what it says. Quit reading into the text what you want to be there. Your God isn't love. He's also jealous, and he also kills people for no damn reason. He is probably one of the most, as many people have said, the most unpleasant character of all mythological fiction. He claims to be the good guy and then does all kinds of evil shit. Okay, I do this all the time on my channel, pointing this out. So, I'm sorry, it's mythology, and he's a really bad god. So he really is. But I don't. Sorry, you say that it says false gods. It doesn't have that. No other gods before me. It just says you got to have me as number one. That's how that's interpreted. Sorry, the Ten Commandments openly is God acknowledgement that there are other gods. Okay, and he fights certain gods, and sometimes he loses because they have chariots of iron. He's not an omnipotent God, not the Old Testament one. He's got limits. He doesn't seem to know things. He changes his mind. He's kind of fickle, and he's kind of a psychopathic asshole at times. So, I dismissed him for all those reasons. I mean, you're reading into the text what you want to be there. But as far as understanding God's love, I don't understand love that way, because it's not really love. If you got to redefine love to have BDSM, sadomasochistic elements to it, then I think you have a problem. Okay. Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, could be. But if you read the Old Testament and don't edit out the parts you don't like, you suddenly get a very different picture of God. Well, folks, it's been a couple hours. I'm getting tired and hungry, and time to relax a little bit. So I'm going to call it a night. But it's been fun, guys. Even with the theists, it's always nice to restate the same arguments over and over again. But yeah, I mean, it's like, no. Yeah, but it's been a good stream, guys. Good night, all. Have a very, very safe and happy St. Valentine's Day. You guys be awesome. It just, I did this to keep myself occupied on Valentine's Day nights and not doing anything else. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Like, share, do all the things that you do. Continue to help grow the channel. It's been really good this past week. So thank you very much. Yes, and as Maxim says, sin safely. Sin safely. So make sure you hit that like button and do all the stuff. I appreciate all of that. Become a member. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around and then it's over. So then make sure you do all the things that you do to lift up yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. And don't waste it on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, folks, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you next time.